Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Classic Wrestling Cast. Today we are doing our Royal Rumble prediction show. Joining me, as always, is Aaron Steinberg. And we're also going to be doing a 2016 recap. We're actually going to be doing that first. But how's it going?
It is going good. I told you, the Royal Rumble is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. The surprise entrance, the unpredictability of it, the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. It's just a fantastic time of the year for professional wrestling.
Yep, it's always fun, especially when it's just like mass chaos in the ring. And even though you can sometimes predict it, sometimes you can't. This is one of the years where I'm not sure what's going to happen. So,
Yeah, that's what's exciting to me about the 2017 Royal Rumble is that for the first time in I would say 3 years, I really just have no freaking idea who is going to win the Royal Rumble. Um,
yeah, the
you
last
know,
couple were pretty predictable. Like where I figured, okay, Triple H is gonna be the last entrant, and it was. And then the year before, we knew Roman Reigns was gonna win. Or as soon as Daniel
yeah,
Bryan got eliminated, we knew it was Roman Reigns.
yeah, and then the year before that with Batista. So, um, it's been pretty predictable for the past few years, but I'm really excited about this one because, like I said, there are so many different options, and it's not just like dark horse options that they could possibly win. There's a lot of options that you could realistically say, well, this person has a legitimate chance of winning, and that's exciting to me.
Yep. So first thing we're gonna do is we're going to do our little quick recap of 2016. 2016 was pretty good. I liked a lot of the stuff that they did in 2016. So we're gonna go over like our favorite feuds, probably a couple of our favorite matches, and then some of the favorite maybe like superstars of last year.
Yeah. As far as match of the year, starting with that, I think there's really two contenders, and that is Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and the two out of what? Yeah, it was 2 out of 3 falls for DIY versus the Revival.
Yep, yeah, those are my top two as well. That was, I think, Nakamura's first match in WWE. I mean, it was NXT, but it was still
Yeah,
a great match, and it was like there wasn't like it wasn't heel versus heel or face versus face or anything. Like there was no real like heel or face dynamics in that match. It was just a match.
yeah, it was just two people beating the crap out of each other, and it was super entertaining. Just the energy of that match was just so out of bounds. It was just a fantastic introduction of Shinsuke Nakamura to the WWE universe, if you will. And then I think from a technical standpoint, um, DIY versus a Revival, that 2 out of 3 falls match from the last takeover was just an incredible piece of business. Like those two teams have such good chemistry. I saw them when they came to NXT Houston, and the whole crowd were just eating out of their hands like little baby goats. They just know how to work the crowd, and that was just an awesome match. I thought the Revival was terrible when they first started, but slowly they've gotten a lot better, and I appreciate kind of the old school Minnesota Wrecking Crew brainbusters type of matches that they work. And I think that was just a fantastically laid out match. There were high spots, but they worked towards the high spots. It felt like a very old school. It felt like a match that had a lot of old school mentality kind of mixed in with, modern professional wrestling.
Yeah, because I don't really think you see this very much anymore, where um, a tag team will accidentally hit the other team.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that a lot more back in like the 80s and 90s, where you would have two people ready to kick somebody or hit somebody, and then the guy would move out of the way at the last second, and then the tag team would end up like hitting themselves. They did that in this match. They had a lot of just like great, awesome choreographed like spots as well. So yeah, those two are my matches of the year as well.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All
Although
right.
I think DIY versus Revival just kind of edges it out just a little bit because there was a story there. It wasn't just two guys fighting each other just because. So it was I was a little bit more emotionally invested in that match than I was the Shinsuke Zayn match.
Yeah, I mean the Shinsuke Zayn match was awesome as well, but yeah, like you said, really wasn't a story behind it. The story had been like that, like DIY had kind of, you know, they got screwed out of the titles, or not maybe screwed out, but they had always come up short, and this was going to be, I think, one of their last shots to do it,
Yeah.
and they ended up getting it done. So that's my. I'm probably going with that as match of the year as well. We're going looking at some feuds. We had some pretty good feuds last year as well, and some that carried over from the year before. I'm not really sure if you would call it a feud, but I've really enjoyed because it's not actually like in the ring, but the Miz and Daniel Bryan, that feud has been pretty entertaining as well.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's
100%.
not really like I wouldn't don't know if it's like what they want to consider it to be a feud because there's no matches involved, but it's just this like really cool like in between like it plays into whatever feud the Miz is in, but it's not like the focus of the feud, but it's just this thing that makes the feuds better.
Yeah, I think that if you want to count that in feuds, to me that's 100% the best because, I say it all the time. The best things in wrestling are the the segments that blur the line between what's real and what's scripted. And to me, the all of the exchanges between the Miz and Daniel Bryan, like they're being real with each other. The Miz is just talking mad smack about Daniel Bryan working on the Indies, and then Daniel Bryan is talking trash about the Miz working the safe WWE style and being a WWE guy, and how there's less respect in that, if you will. So it's just been this really good kind of blur between what's real and what's not, and to me, that has just been a fantastic feud. As far as feuds between wrestlers. Um, hmm.
I mean, I was gonna say Sasha and Charlotte, but then that kind of got drug out a little too long. I thought, or not too long. It was just the entire like whole like with the trading the title so many times. I thought the feud itself was fine, but the rest of it was kind of just the amount of
Yeah,
times they traded titles made it. It didn't. It weakened the feud a little for me.
yeah, I agree because um, the thing is, it's like at the beginning, the it was good, but then it kind of went away from being about Sasha and Charlotte to more about being Sasha's childhood dream and Eddie Guerrero's legacy. And they started to like inject all these things in it that kind of, to me, took away from the feud a little bit. I think that if they just let Sasha Banks be the boss character, then it just could have been something fantastic. But you're right. At the beginning, it was a good feud, and then the constant title changes kind of, for me, watered it down a little bit. Um, Also, one that is really hard for me to ignore is AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose when they were feuding for the WWE Championship. Um, I thought that feud was phenomenal, if you will.
Yeah, I'd like that feud as well because I actually got to see some of that feud like when I went to see SmackDown, and it was and they had like a normal match and then they had like a dark match as well. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun
Yeah,
that
and
feud. And then and now
their TLC match was just wonderful.
yeah, even though AJ's pants got all ripped up and stuff, but
Yeah, we
yeah,
could see like
that was a great feud. I also think even though it was kind of short, was Cena versus AJ, and they're going back to that feud now anyway.
yeah,
But that was a good feud because AJ came out, he's like welcome back Cena, and then the club came out, and then Cena or AJ, I'm not gonna say turned on Cena because he never really was aligned with him, but
yeah.
attacked Cena, and then they had a couple really good matches, and then of course they're wrestling again this weekend.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because that, to me, the renewed AJ Styles slash John Cena feud is one of the best feuds I've seen in a very, very long time. The segments that they are making are just magical. But I think also we can't ignore the feud of Roman Reigns versus the fans.
Yeah, and I was
Feud
also
of
gonna
the
say
century.
another feud that I was kind of wrote down was it kind of started off strong in the beginning of the year, and they haven't really done much with it since then. Was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? They had
Yeah.
a few good matches early in the year and a few like really good like um, story segments, but they haven't really gone back to that.
Yeah, I think it's so weird that they didn't draft them apart, yet they don't really interact much. But that's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's an evergreen feud that they can always go back to. And there's always going to be heat between them, and they're always going to have great chemistry. So I feel like um, once Sami Zayn gets a little more spotlight, um, they'll be able to have awesome feuds and whether it's for the WWE Universal Championship or whatever belt it's going to be for. If it's even going to be for a belt, that's something that you can always go to.
Right. All right, and then we were picking our favorite superstar of the year, and I think we both agreed on this one. We both went with AJ Styles,
Oh yeah,
who's
gotta be
had
100%.
he started off strong with like a surprise entrant, I guess you would call him, in last year's Royal Rumble, and then went into a feud with Chris Jericho. After that, went into a feud with John Cena. After that, went into a feud with John Cena and Dean Ambrose. And he's pretty much been on fire since he got to the WWE.
Yeah. Some of his earlier feuds, lacked a little bit of oomph, but once he got the WWE Championship, he just he just has been nonstop fire. His feud with with Dean Ambrose, awesome. His feud with John Cena, which we'll talk about, has been awesome. AJ Styles has never really been known as a mic guy, but the promos he's been cutting have been fantastic. He is so good in every respect, and I feel very confident saying that at this moment he is the best professional wrestler in the world.
All right, cool. So that last wraps up our 2016 little recap. We're going to jump into the Royal Rumble. So we're going to start off with, looks like, and we're going to skip the Rumble we'll save that one for last. Looks like we have Cesaro and Sheamus versus The Club. And it's a tag team match for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships. And there's going to be 2 referees assigned to the match. So
Why is there going to be 2 referees assigned to the match? And let it be known, I missed Raw from this week.
Okay, I do not know why they're doing that, but this is a pre-show, so it's not going to probably be a terribly long match. They're probably really not going to get the time that they actually need to have a good match. But perhaps there was some referee screw up or something that caused them to be like, okay, we need 2 referees to watch this match. But I don't really know how. I don't see them taking the titles off Cesaro and Sheamus this soon. I mean, they've only had them for a short period of time.
Yeah, that's true. However, to that I would say, to me, it feels like Cesaro and Sheamus are transitional champions, because I think the real bread and butter of the tag team division, now that the New Day is cooled off, is Enzo and Big Cass. And in traditional WWE booking sense, you wouldn't want Enzo and Big Cass to fight Cesaro and Sheamus because that's face versus face. So what do? You put the belts on Gallows and Anderson, and then have Enzo and Big Cass beat them.
Possibly, yeah. I can see it going either way, or I could see Cesaro and Sheamus still doing that, but maybe retaining at the Rumble and losing at a different pay-per-view, and then setting up for something further down the road with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah. It's just, to me, that Cesaro and Sheamus, granted that they haven't had the belts for that long, but if you think, once the New Day won the championship belts, once they won the tag team titles, I felt like they immediately made the belts relevant. They made their reign meaningful. They were doing compelling things as champions. And Cesaro and Sheamus just haven't had that traction.
Yeah, I think the entertainment with them was more of them chasing the title than actually having it.
Yeah.
Because the story of them initially not wanting to work together, and then they finally started working together, and then won the championships, and then they haven't done much with it since then.
Yeah, and the whole, the whole gimmick for that tag team is cheer one guy and boo the other, and it's fun, but they're not, who are they? They're not really compelling characters. They're not really doing anything to make me care about the tag team championships. Whereas the New Day, they were heel champions at the time. They were talking smack about people. They were making fun, making jokes, cracking wise. They had the trombone. They were doing things to be entertaining. So as much as I like Cesaro, I don't like Sheamus, but as much as I like Cesaro, they just haven't done anything. So I think that putting the belts on Gallows and Anderson, as much as I don't like them, I think Gallows and Anderson have been hot garbage since they came into the WWE. Um, but I think you put the belt on them and then let loose with a feud with Enzo and Cass, and just let Enzo and Cass become the undisputed faces of the tag team division. And I think that's where the money is. So my prediction is going to be Gallows and Anderson win.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, I can see that happening. We're going to move into our next match. This is also a pre-show match, so these matches are probably going to be pretty short.
Oh, wait, Mike, before we continue, I just want to say that I have to pat you and myself on the back because I forget which pay-per-view it was that we did the last prediction show for, but we were 100% on our predictions.
Oh, yeah, I think it was, may have been TLC. I don't think we did one for
Yes,
Roadblock.
it was TLC.
Yeah,
Our
let me,
TLC predictions were 100%
yeah,
accurate.
let me actually bring that up if I still have it. Because I have all these just written down. They're not like formatted or anything, but the TLC 2016. Yeah, because we skipped the Roadblock, but yeah,
Yeah,
we predicted that Wyatt and Orton would win the tag team champions, which they did. Predicted that Baron Corbin would win. I predicted Corbin, you predicted Kalisto, but it was still like that match really didn't matter. So we predicted that. We predicted Nikki Bella would win. We predicted that Miz would win. We predicted that Alexa Bliss would win, and we predicted that AJ would retain.
yeah.
So yeah, we got all those right. The Royal Rumble though, I'm not so sure we're gonna be able to do that, especially with so many possibilities for the Rumble. But again, moving into our next match, it's another pre-show match. So we have Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. I don't know if there's any kind of stipulation to this. Nope, just a singles match.
Yeah.
I I don't really know. I mean, I kind of really don't care about this match actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I do care a little bit, but also I don't know because it looks like they're probably going to be moving forward with Charlotte and Bayley instead. So Sasha's had the title, and I think like putting her back in the title picture now would probably not be a great idea, just
No.
because of the entire like whole like hot potato feud with Charlotte. So I could see Nia Jax getting a win. I could still see Sasha Banks getting a win as well. I could see it going either way, but really don't think it has any like real impact on like on storyline really.
Yeah, it doesn't. This is just the Sasha Banks and Nia Jax feud has kind of been a nothing feud. It's just Nia Jax being angry that Sasha Banks has got all the spotlight, and it's Sasha Banks saying, "No, I'm the boss, yet I'm not doing anything to act as such." I hope Nia Jax wins, and the reason for that is I think if you let let Sasha Banks accrue a few losses and snap, kind of like Dolph Ziggler did,
Yeah,
and let her turn heel. Um,
yeah, she works a lot better as a heel anyway. So
yeah, her
I mean,
character is basically predicated on the fact that she's a heel.
yeah,
So,
like she's the boss, but if she's a face, she's not like being a boss. She's just that's just a name.
yeah.
Like when NXT, she was aligned with Becky Lynch and was basically like running that entire division.
Yeah, and that's who she needs to be. So I think if she gets a few losses, maybe comes out and turns on Bayley, or Bayley loses the match, Sasha Banks comes out to comfort her and then just destroys her. Kind of like sort of like what Kevin Owens did with Sami Zayn when he won the belt. Similar to that. Um, I think there really needs to be something to change Sasha Banks' character. So I think a loss to Nia Jax here could set that up. So I'm hoping that that is what happens. And also, I think having Nia Jax take the win kind of elevates her a little bit. And the Raw women's division is severely lacking in bodies.
Yeah.
So putting Nia Jax on a higher level to show that she can compete, I think, is a good idea. So I'm going to say that Nia Jax wins this match.
All right, I'll go with that as well. That's probably what I would have predicted because, like I said, Sasha Banks needs to kind of like not be the focus of the division for a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to skip the Rumble. We're going to come back to that one. We have Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns for no disqualification for the Universal Championship, and Jericho will be suspended in a cage above the ring. They did this at Takeover with the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and I think that's just a gimmick to sell that shark cage toy thing, right?
It might be,
I don't know,
yeah.
or what the crash cage or whatever they're calling it. But even with Jericho up there in the cage, he can still he can still do something. He can still like drop something to Owens to like hit Reigns with. They
Yeah,
did
drop a
that.
foreign object.
Yeah, they did that with at the Tag Team Classic, and Paul Earring was like he dropped like a chain out, and then one of the guys from the Authors of Pain wrapped it around his hand, and he went to punch somebody, and it flew out of his hand. I don't know if the chain flying out of his hand was scripted or that's just what happened, but I can see Jericho being up there like dropping something to Owens to like give him an edge to like win the match, and with that, I probably still see Kevin Owens winning.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're ready to pull the trigger on Reigns again, but I think it's still too soon.
See, mm,
I
this
don't
is a
know. I
tough
mean,
one to predict because it's like Kevin Owens' championship reign has been pretty abysmal. It has not been good. Um, but then Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, and I feel like we used to say on this show never bet against John Cena, and that has changed to a degree. And when we talk about John Cena, boy, Mike, am I going to have some revelations for you? But I feel like we can start to say similar things about Roman Reigns. I feel like he's paid his penance for his suspension, um, and now he's got that rocket pack strapped to his back, and he is flying to the moon again. Um, do I think that he is going to main event WrestleMania? That's such a hard question to answer.
well, he's
Um,
he's main. If he does, it'll be three in a row. So it's like 2015 against Lesnar, 2016 against Triple H, and then this one 2017 against whoever. Yeah, because here's one thing about the Rumble that's going to be weird this year is there's two titles. So are we going to do what they did back when the brand split originally happened, like back in like the early 2000s? Whoever won the Royal Rumble, it was like a weird loophole they could do where they could say, well, I'm challenging for the title, even though I'm on SmackDown, I want the title that's on Raw, and you can switch basically
mm,
jump brands. So I don't know if they're gonna do something like that, or if they're just gonna be like, okay, you're a Raw superstar that won, you're challenging for the Universal title, or if a SmackDown star wins, they're going after either Cena or Styles. I don't really know.
yeah, to me, it makes sense that whatever brand the winner is, that is the belt that will be, or the championship that will be in the main event of WrestleMania. Um, so I guess I should rephrase the question. Do I think Roman Reigns is going to go into WrestleMania as champion? My gut says no, because just like you said, Mike, this would be the third year in a row that he would have main evented WrestleMania. Um, and I don't think, because listen, the boos that this guy gets right now are pretty intense, and that is from marky crowds. That is not smarky crowds, right? That is not smart wrestling fans who, think that they know everything and who love to hate Roman Reigns. That is just casual wrestling crowds. But
Oh, and then it's even
per,
it's even worse when you go into like just like Chicago or was it I don't know it was either Pittsburgh or Philadelphia
Philadelphia, yeah.
where that
But
was the
that's what I'm
Royal
saying.
Rumble from 2 years ago where they basically like I mean it
They
was not
booed
it
The
was
Rock
yeah
because of that.
yeah exactly
So, and that's the thing, like WrestleMania crowds they're pretty hardcore crowds.
yeah because it's not
So,
like a lot of people will travel to go to WWE pay-per-views. Maybe like not like I'm not if I'm going to travel to go to one of them though, it's probably going to be WrestleMania. If I could afford to go, I would go to WrestleMania. So a lot of people that go to these bigger ones, bigger pay-per-views, are definitely the smarkier of the fans that are the ones that are probably going to be more vocal about not liking Roman Reigns.
yeah.
I don't
So
mind Roman Reigns now. I mean, back a couple of years ago when he came back from injury and he had those terrible promos, I think he's gotten better at that.
yeah, he's gotten better, and I think that it's not. I don't think you can say that um, Roman Reigns is bad in the ring. I think he's certainly good in the ring. His promo skills are still not good. But the main problem is not with Roman Reigns himself. And, we've been saying that for a while. It's not really Roman Reigns, it's his character. It's what they're having him do. He needs to be a heel. Like He just needs to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's built for it. And
Yeah,
I
when he
think that
was. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
if when he goes into if he goes into WrestleMania, he's just gonna like the crowd is just gonna eat him alive. So I don't think he's gonna go in as champion. Now, I think that having Kevin Owens, see, mm, this is tough because then I think a Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho feud is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean they've been teasing that for, like since October,
Yeah, but
and
would that
then
happen with both them having titles?
it could maybe champion versus champion. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It's possible they've done champion versus champion before.
And okay, so let's take a look at how this is being booked. They've made it so that on a number of occasions, Kevin Owens has looked strong to Roman Reigns, or has kind of gotten the better of Roman Reigns. That typically means that he is going to the person who gets the best of, or the person who has the upper hand going into the pay-per-view traditionally loses on the pay-per-view. Well, not maybe not traditionally, but a lot of the time. Um, so that to me is indicating that Roman Reigns is going to win. Um, this is. What do you think, Mike?
I really don't know. I think Roman Reigns will be at WrestleMania, but he probably won't be. Well, I don't think he'll go in as champion. Maybe he'll win the Rumble. I mean, I kind of hope not, because I would rather see like basically WrestleMania main events now have become like it'll be the same for 3 years. I mean, different opponents, but the same. Other like Roman Reigns will be the constant that's there. So I see him being at WrestleMania. I just don't see him going in to get the title. But then also at the same time, I don't know who challenges for it either.
Yeah,
But one thing I was saying about the heel thing, when it's this weird dynamic where Rusev is just like like trying to like defend Lana, and Roman Reigns, who's the face, is the one that's being the bully. That's kind of a weird thing as well.
yeah.
I mean that was months ago, but I don't know if they're still doing that. I don't think they are. But
No, there's a lot of weird dynamics with Roman Reigns being a face, sort of.
unless we have something weird happen where maybe Roman Reigns does win the title, and then there's some weird I don't know, like some weird thing with the finish of the Rumble where two people win or two people get eliminated, like the last two eliminate each other at the exact same time. I mean, that would be hard to choreograph, but they could probably do it and then have a triple threat. But also, remember from 2 years ago, it was one on one, but then Seth Rollins made it a triple threat. So I don't know if Vince wants to do another triple threat in the main event.
Yeah.
But they didn't
Jeez.
do a triple. They didn't do a triple threat last year, so it was just Reigns and Triple H. But
And that match was a snooze fest.
yeah, I mean, for being a WrestleMania match, I think it was all very, very predictable as well.
Yeah, last year's WrestleMania was very predictable, with the exception of Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I think that's like the one thing we got wrong on that one,
Yeah.
or maybe we got a
Um.
couple wrong. But I don't really know. I could see Jericho maybe accidentally costing Owens the match, like he drops an object and it accidentally and Reigns picks it up first and then
Yeah.
uses it, and then since there's no disqualification, they can do whatever they want. And then Owens, of course, will blame Jericho. That will start off a feud between them, and possibly a feud between Roman Reigns. So having all three of them, I don't really know. I'm gonna
Yeah, but then if you think about it like this way, a no disqualification match allows Kevin Owens to win without pinning Roman Reigns. So you still can have Roman Reigns lose, but he doesn't really look weak in a loss because it's no disqualification.
right. I
I think I'm going to go with Kevin Owens just because I would prefer Kevin Owens to keep the title.
I mean, I would prefer him to keep it at least until WrestleMania and then drop it to somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing Roman Reigns with the title again at some point, but just not this soon.
Yeah, not this soon, not
Well,
without.
we say soon, but it's been when did he lost it in the summer, so it hasn't been quite a year. Like he lost it to Triple H. He had the title, lost it to Triple H, got it back from Triple H, and lost it a few months later. But it's still been a while. But I still think it's like there's still other wrestlers I would rather see it on before it's on
Yeah,
him again.
that's the thing. It's just that I think there are people who deserve it, or not necessarily deserve it, but there are people who would be better champions.
All right, so I'm going with Owens as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it, though. Next match, we have AJ Styles versus John Cena for the championship, and I don't want to say this, but I think Cena will probably win.
Yeah, I agree
I
with that.
see Cena going in to WrestleMania as champion and then potentially dropping it to whoever wins the Rumble, maybe.
So yeah, here okay. We've said on the show, if you go back and listen to all of the episodes in the way back machine, you'll hear both yourself, Mike, and me talk about how we dislike John Cena, how he's bottlenecking other superstars from rising to the top. Well, I'm here to tell you that I was watching SmackDown last night, and I legitimately considered buying a John Cena t-shirt because that is how much I like him now. Like, there's been a complete 180 with me, as far as how I feel about John Cena. And it all started with the US Open Challenge. Like, that's where, to me, I said, you know, he's actually quite good. And then it just kind of slowly started. And this program that he has been doing, or that he's been having with AJ Styles, is just, if you've seen the segments, like every time they are on the mic with each other, it's just magic. Because, like I said, it's blurring the line between what's real and what's not. You have AJ Styles saying, why do you think you get a title shot? Where have you been? I've been holding down SmackDown since you've been gone, and then you come here and expect to get a title shot, and then you have John Cena saying, yeah, because I'm John Cena. You've held this place down for 6 months. I held it down for a decade because I'm John Cena. And it's really unique because you've got both AJ Styles and John Cena. There's not really a clear heel and face in the feud. It's just this dynamic, amorphous blob of good guys and bad guys. And that's partly because AJ Styles is just so damn good, it's hard to boo him. Like, it's just so hard to boo AJ Styles. And then at the same time, you have John Cena, who he's the most divisive person in professional wrestling. People either love him or hate him. So you've got the Let's Go Cena crowd, and you've got the Cena sucks crowd. And he's saying, he says to AJ Styles, you come out here complaining about not getting respect. Every time I walk to the ring, I've got people chanting Cena sucks. And kind of being a little douche to AJ Styles. So it's the feud has just been really fantastic. And if you haven't seen the segments, I highly recommend just going on YouTube and just looking up the segments between John Cena and AJ Styles, because they've been fantastic. Now, as far as the match goes, yeah, I think you're right. I think John Cena wins, gets his 16th championship, and then drops it at WrestleMania to someone, because I think
I
having
think Cena
yeah,
is like well, he's been with them since 2002, and he's doing a lot of other like projects now. I don't see him like full retiring, but I see him being more like The Rock, where he comes back occasionally. I mean,
yeah,
I think he comes back for like longer stretches of time than The Rock does, but I think him being like on the roster full time, I think he's probably done with that. I don't know.
yeah, I think he's gonna be. I don't want to see. I don't want to say he's going to be as absent as Brock Lesnar or The Rock. I think he'll be there more, but definitely not as much. So I can see him winning here, working a program until the Rumble, or not the Rumble, until WrestleMania, dropping the belt at WrestleMania, and then leaving for an indeterminate amount of time.
Right. Like I'm liking Cena more lately as well. I mean, not enough to buy a shirt, of course, but I still see him winning this. I think it'll be a great match. Probably out of the matches that are just going to be with excluding the Rumble, I think this will be the match of the night.
100% agree. Absolutely. 100% agree.
All right, so we're going to go with Cena. I don't like saying that, but we're going to Cena. So,
Never bet against John Cena.
all right, moving
And
into our
well, that's the
next
thing,
match.
unless it's AJ Styles, because
Right.
AJ Styles has beaten John Cena 3 times.
Yeah,
So
except the first time it was like I wish the club back at Money in the Bank didn't interfere. That kind of cheapened it for me,
yeah.
but we are moving into the next match. So we have Charlotte against versus Bailey for the women's championship. Um, I see Charlotte retaining, and then I see because like I think they really want to put the belt on Bailey, but I think WrestleMania would be a better time for them to do that.
Yeah, I think Charlotte is 100% going to retain. It's too soon to put the belt on Bailey. And when I say too soon, what I mean is that, like, when you think about who Bailey's character is, she needs to get beat down a bunch before she rises to the top. She is the female Daniel Bryan, the ultimate underdog, the person who just loses and loses and loses and then has her comeback and has the road to glory and wins the big one. Um, and I think WWE has completely ignored that, whereas NXT knew that and built that story. That's why the Sasha Banks versus Bailey match to me was match of the year. Whenever that was, what was it, like 2015?
Yeah, and then, like August of that year, I think.
Yeah, because there was so much story and emotion behind that match. Not to mention that the match itself was just amazing, but there was just so much story in it. And I think that it's hard to build Bailey into any other type of character. And I think she's struggling on the main roster right now because this character just doesn't, it doesn't, what they're having her do doesn't fit who she is as a loser, because that's basically what her character is, a lovable loser. And that's what she needs to be. So I think she loses this one. And then this kind of starts, I don't want to say the road to redemption, because she will have lost one match, but I think this is like she can lose this one and just go on a little bit of a losing streak and start to, gain that groundswell of sympathy, if you will, that can eventually lead to, the road to redemption.
Right, and I see her whatever they do for WrestleMania, I see her winning at WrestleMania. Winning at
Yeah.
the Rumble is like would be huge as well, but I think they really want to. Or I mean, at least if I was booking it, I would want her to win like her first women's title on like the biggest show that they have.
Yeah, but then also you have to, think about it like this. The Raw crowd hasn't been as accepting of Bailey as NXT has. She's not quite as over. So I think she still needs a little more seasoning. I don't think she's quite ready yet to get the belt, but who knows? By next WrestleMania, she might be where she needs to be. I just don't think she's there at the moment. I think at WrestleMania this year, I was going to say, maybe is it going to be a triple threat between Charlotte, Bailey, and Sasha, but we just had a triple threat last year, so who
Yeah, it
knows
was
what's going to happen.
yeah, it was Charlotte, Bailey, and Becky last year, right?
Yeah,
I think
I would
something like
love to
that.
see a fatal four-way between the four horsewomen of NXT, but with a brand split, I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean they did that at one of the was it NXT where Sasha won her first title was a
Yeah,
fatal four way.
yeah.
But I'm going with Charlotte. I think you said you're going with Charlotte as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving into our cruiserweight match. We have Rich Swann against versus Neville for the championship. Um, I would like to see Neville win.
Yeah,
I don't really know what's going on with the cruiserweight division, where it's like they're not hot potatoing the title as much as they did with um, Sasha and Charlotte, but it feels like okay, T.J. Perkins won it, then Brian Kendrick won it, then he lost it to Rich Swann, and now Rich Swann has it. Um, I would just like to see Neville win.
yeah. Well, the thing is, T.J. Perkins won it and just ended up being a terrible champion. Um, so they wanted to put the belt on Rich Swann, but having T.J. Perkins fight Rich Swann doesn't make a lot of sense from a heel face dynamic. So you have Brian Kendrick win it, then you have Rich Swann win from Brian Kendrick. Neville has been awesome as a heel. I don't know if you've seen any of the segments that he's done from on Raw or on 205 Live. 205
I saw
Live,
it. I seen a couple. I saw when he actually turned heel, and then one of his interviews,
yeah,
which were pretty
205.
good.
Yeah, he's been super awesome. Like, I didn't think he could be that good as of a character as he has been,
Yeah, I mean, he
especially in,
was
in
kind of
interviews.
heelish, like toward like when he lost to Sami Zayn at whatever takeover that was, where Kevin Owens debuted. But
Yeah,
it really wasn't. he really wasn't a heel. He was just like,
He was just acting heel-ish.
yeah, he's just like, okay, he's like, well, he's like, I didn't make Sami Zayn take this match, so if I'm not gonna like, he's basically, it was if Sami Zayn lost, he would like leave NXT or whatever it was. And he's like, well, I didn't make Sami Zayn take the match, so but I'm still not gonna like let him just win. So that made him kind of like more heelish because Sami Zayn was just super over as a face. But this Neville, I'm really liking.
Yeah, this is a completely different character, and it's just been so awesome. The only thing that I find weird is that they're kind of going with anti-America sentiment a little bit because he's British, and I feel it's like, oh, anyone with an accent, they're a heel who hates America.
Yeah,
I wish they would not do that and just let it be more of they held me down because of how I look, and they held me down because of my size, rather than they held me down because they my accent, because where I'm from, because America this and America that. But that being said, um, Neville is just so awesome, and he's the best part of 205 Live. 205 Live in general is not very good because there's not really a lot of compelling stuff going on. Like you've got Cedric Alexander fighting Noam Dar for the honor and love of Alicia Fox, which is just weird. And you've got uh, little redhead guy, what's his name? Jack Gallagher fighting Arya Davari, which is fine, but not really awesome. But then you've got a gem of a feud with Neville and Rich Swann. And I think these guys, if for some reason John Cena and AJ Styles is lackluster, I think this match has the chance to steal the show. Um, so yeah, I think that this match will be a really, really good match, and I would love to see Neville take the championship. Like him and AJ Styles, I think, are probably the two best wrestlers in WWE right now, and it is high time that he has gold around his waist. He deserves it.
yep, yeah, I'm going with Neville. We're gonna move into our final normal match, and then we'll talk about the Rumble. So we had a 6-woman tag match between Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, Naomi against Alexa Bliss, Mickey James, and Natalia. Um, I don't really know, like, I don't really care, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I like that Mickey James is. That's probably the most interesting part about this was her like luchador gimmick that she was like had the mask on and then was like, oh look, like she's like on Alexa's team or whatever it was. But
Yeah, I'm glad that she's back, and her return makes a lot of sense because if you know what she said was, I'm pissed because everybody is ignoring me. We talk about the women's revolution and we talk about Trish Stratus and we talk about Lita. No one ever mentions what I've done. My 5 women's titles reign, women's title reigns, my Divas Championship reigns. No one ever talks about me and what I've done. And her comeback was really good. So I think this match will be okay. I think it might. Well, what I'm hoping is that it's kind of a seed for a women's elimination chamber match because we know the elimination chamber is coming in. I want to say it's a couple of weeks after the Rumble,
right,
so it'd be
yeah.
cool
Let's
if we
see.
had a
Elimination Chamber is February 12th, so that would be like literally like almost 2 weeks exactly.
yeah. So I think it would be cool to have a women's elimination chamber match. So I can see this kind of leading into that. As far as who wins, yeah, I don't care. I'll pick team heels because they're heels. So I'm gonna say Alexa Bliss, Mickey James, and Natalia win.
All right, I'll go with that too. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I like Becky, but like she like Bailey works better as like an underdog.
Yeah, I
So we'll
agree.
go team heels. Let's say team Bliss, whatever you want to call it. All right, this is Royal Rumble 2017. Save. All right, now we're going to jump into the Rumble itself. So we're going to go through the list of the stars that have been announced for it at least,
Yeah,
and we'll say there's Raw, SmackDown, and one unassigned. So first up, we have. I'm just going to go through the list really quickly. For Raw, we have Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, Cesaro, Sheamus, Big Show, Sami Zayn, Big Cass, Rusev. And then for SmackDown, we have Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Luke Harper, and Mojo Rawley, and the one that's really like unaffiliated or unassigned is the Undertaker. So
Okay.
those they've announced 22 stars so far. So there's 8 surprise entrants, or maybe not all surprises, but 8 other spots they could fill.
Yes.
And again,
So
this Rumble is just so weird where I don't know like what they want to build to. Do they want to have the Undertaker go in? Like, do they want to have the Undertaker win? Do they want to have Goldberg win? I really don't know. This is like one of the
yeah,
Rumbles where it's like really cool because I have no idea what WWE is planning. The last two were super predictable. It's like it's either going to be Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan gets eliminated. We're like, okay, it's going to be Reigns. And then last year, as cool as it was to see Triple H come out as number 30, we knew it was going to happen. Or, I mean, at
yeah,
least I predicted that because Triple H got laid out by Reigns like a month or two before that, and then comes in to win the title back.
yeah. I don't think it's going to be Lesnar, Goldberg, or the Undertaker. I think Goldberg and Lesnar are gonna eliminate each other. Um, and then I can see
Yeah, I
Braun
think.
Strowman eliminating the Undertaker, kind of setting up something with them.
Yeah, because I see Goldberg and Lesnar like rematching at WrestleMania because they did it at Survivor Series and it was like a squash match. Uh, I really didn't mind it because I was just like, okay, they needed to bring Lesnar down a little bit because they basically had him in God mode since he came back.
Yeah,
So they got him. So I could see them actually having like a proper match at WrestleMania where Brock Lesnar would probably win. But you can see Strowman eliminating the Undertaker, and then we have all the surprise entrants that usually the surprise entrants are this there as a surprise. They usually don't actually win.
yeah. I
But
think
this
you're
one's
gonna have some classic old guys come back. Obviously, DDP usually likes to make a Royal Rumble appearance. Um, but as far as like people that I think might actually come back, we got to talk about Finn Balor. He's a possible surprise returning person, and I also think that if Finn Balor returns, he has a very strong possibility of winning.
yeah, and then basically winning back the title that he essentially never lost.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, he won it. Not gonna say won it from Seth Rollins. He won it facing Seth Rollins in a tournament. Got injured because I think he took the
that
power
power
bomb.
bomb. Yeah,
He ended up putting his shoulder over the railing. I think is what happened, or his arm over the railing, and then it ended up like dislocating his shoulder doing it. Um, so I could see him coming back and basically saying, like I really never lost that title. I had to vacate it and maybe have him fight Kevin Owens, which could be good. Um,
yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
And then
so
also, I'm not seeing. Let's see who am I not seeing on this list. The other person I was saying would be a possible winner. They're not on the list yet. Would be Seth Rollins.
Seth, is he not on the list?
Well, he's not on. He's not on. Let me see. Goldberg, Lesnar, Big E, Kofi, Xavier, Jericho, Strowman. These are all Sheamus, Big Show, Sami Zayn, Big Cass, and
Oh,
Rusev. So
wait, did not he lose his Royal Rumble spot to Sami Zayn?
okay,
On
I didn't know
Raw,
about
I
that.
believe he
But
did.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
I haven't heard about
Okay.
that. But I could also see him being a surprise entrant though, because the whole feud with him and Owens kind of where Jericho, kept interfering, and Owens, he put in Rollins. If Jericho didn't interfere, would have won the title. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah, Seth Rollins can be an entrant, a surprise entrance. I think Kenny Omega has a possibility of being a surprise entrant. I would love it if we saw Kenny Omega in the WWE. Kind of just like how we got AJ Styles last year. I think it would be amazing, especially considering the match that he had at Wrestle Kingdom 11 was him and Kazuchika Okada.
and
Had a
also
fantastic
that's
match.
basically what happened last year with, or yeah, last year with AJ Styles. He had I think it was Nakamura. He had a match with
Yes.
Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom, and then showed up like a week later in WWE.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. I've heard rumors of Kurt Angle being a surprise entrant. He probably won't win, but it would be cool to see Kurt Angle like in a WWE ring again because he's going to be in the Hall of Fame in April.
Yeah, which is just so he so deserves it more than the only person that deserves it more than him is Owen Hart, and that's not likely to happen. But yeah, I'm so excited about Kurt Angle being put in.
Yeah,
So,
people.
anyways,
Some people are saying it's long overdue, which I kind of agree with. But also, um, they couldn't. I don't think they could have inducted him sooner because he was under contract with TNA, and they probably didn't
yeah,
want to have to deal with that.
yeah,
But TNA now is basically like gone, so he can be inducted. I've heard rumors that he may be a surprise entrant. Kenny Omega might be one. Um, I'm sure Rollins will be in here somewhere. It'll probably be maybe like instead of losing his spot, they could be like, okay, we're putting you in the Rumble, but we're putting you in much earlier than we would have.
yeah.
Like Sami
So
Zayn, like let's say Sami Zayn has, I don't want to say number 30 for Sami Zayn, but let's say he's in the high 20s, and now, or Rollins would have been in the high 20s, but now he's in like the low teens or something.
yeah, and also, I mean, I could see Rollins then having to go in first if he wanted to be in it, because if there's anyone who I think on this current roster could work a full Royal Rumble, it's Seth Rollins.
I could see that
Um,
happening. That'd be interesting.
yeah,
I
so
don't know if we're going to
let's
have any more, if they're going to release any more information about who's in the Rumble, because remember last year they moved SmackDown to Tuesdays, and usually SmackDown used to be on Fridays, so there would be a little bit of news that we would always miss because we obviously didn't see SmackDown. But now there's really no other shows between now and the Rumble, so I don't know if they're going to like just like make surprise announcements like on Twitter or wherever, or if it's just going to be like, okay, these are the surprise entrants. There's 8 of them, and here they are when
yeah.
they actually come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were pretty much done on knowing who's in the Rumble, but we have to talk about people who have because when we talk about who could possibly win the Royal Rumble, there are like people who we could legitimately see winning, and then dark horses, right? Um, so let's talk about who on this list has a legitimate shot at actually winning the Royal Rumble.
Honestly,
Dean Ambrose, I
I
think, is one.
think, yep, I think Jericho has a good chance if they want to do some weird thing with him and Owens. They could.
Yeah, so Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose. Um, let's see here.
Randy Orton possibly, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
I don't see him winning. Is
Yeah.
Roman Reigns not in the Royal Rumble? I could have sworn he is. He's not on the list.
Well, yeah.
Uh,
Here's one thing that's weird though. So he's not on the list, and also there's a few other people that are on here that aren't like usually like last year they had, was it Zayn and no, it was Ambrose and Owens, and they both ended up in the Rumble, but they basically like came out like handicapped because they had beat the hell out of each other like an hour before.
yeah,
So Kevin Owens came out like still selling like his like him losing that match. I think he lost the match, but last year. So I could see some of the other wrestlers that were involved in other matches still coming out. Like I could see Owens coming out. I can see um, Reigns coming out. Probably not at 100% because they're in a no DQ match. But I could see Jericho possibly winning, especially if that creates like a weird like tension between him and Owens,
yeah. Um, Dean
which they've been
Ambrose
teasing
could
for
win.
months. Yep, Ambrose is a good one.
Chris Jericho could win. I think even though he's not on here, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I think those guys. I think those four are your main. These are the four people that could very possibly win the Royal Rumble. Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Those are like the top four. If we then start to look at people who are dark horses, I think you've got Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, and my personal choice for who I would like to see win the Royal Rumble, one, The Miz.
All right, I was gonna. I'm glad you didn't say something like James Ellsworth or something like
Yeah,
that. I'm
no,
just kidding, but
I think he will come out though and get eliminated quite quickly.
like, yeah, we'll see if he can get eliminated. What's like the quickest elimination is like Santino Marella got eliminated in like a tenth of a second.
Yeah,
We'll see if he can get eliminated just as fast. That's if he's like actually in the match or he just comes out anyway. But
yeah,
yeah, I can see the Miz winning since he's on a roll anyway, and it would definitely like work because he doesn't have the Intercontinental title. I think Ambrose still has it, so I could see him getting in and getting a shot at a bigger title. He's been a great Intercontinental champion. Maybe they can move him up to a world champion.
yeah.
I
I
mean, the
think
SmackDown champion, I should say.
to me, I can't think of anyone who I think needs to have a championship belt right now more than The Miz. The Miz is Oh, and my wife is saying that she deserves one also.
All right,
But
very
the
cool.
Miz, the Miz 100%. That guy has just been solid gold ever since he returned. Like his run with the Miz or with what was his name, Damian Mizdow was fantastic, and after that, just everything the Miz has done has been amazing. And then with Maurice, dude, imagine the Miz coming out with Maurice on one hand and the WWE Championship on the other. Like I just can't think of a more a grandiose image, and that just fits the Miz so much. And he has done so much for the Intercontinental Championship. He made it relevant. He made it important. He has done so much for SmackDown. Um, to me, I want more than anyone. I want for the Miz to win the Royal Rumble and to go on to main event WrestleMania because I think he deserves it.
All right, I could see that happening. I like again, this is the one Rumble over the past few years that I can't really. I mean, it can go so many different ways, which is really
But he,
cool. So
but
yeah,
he's
the
a dark horse. I don't think he's actually.
oh, okay.
I think he's
I
got
could
less of a chance of winning, but I would love him to.
yeah. I mean, I would also like to see. I don't know who else. Nobody else on this list really. I want to see the Big Show win. I'm just kidding.
Dude, I don't.
Sorry.
How do you eliminate a giant from the Royal Rumble, man? I don't know how anyone's gonna do it. He's a giant.
I don't know. They've done it before,
Yeah,
but
but
I
yet
could
every year
see.
they say how.
So
How
yeah,
will
Miz
he
being
do
a
it?
dark horse. Out of all of them, though, the ones that we said that some of them that aren't even on this list, I think probably Seth Rollins has the best chance.
Yeah, I think he's.
Seth Rollins or Jericho. I could see. Jericho though, I don't know if they would just have if it would be some weird double elimination where it's Jericho and Rollins, so it's like a triple threat between Jericho, Rollins, and Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
Because you could build a match where Kevin Owens and Jericho go in together. I mean, this is for like the title match with Seth Rollins, and then um, for the beginning of the match, Jericho is helping Owens, but then it starts to take like you can then have him attempt to pin Rollins, and then Kevin Owens is like, "What the hell are you doing?"
yeah.
And then
I
you start a
think.
fight, and they start fighting with each other, and then it's an actual triple threat.
Yeah, I think. I think Seth Rollins, out of people who, out of the major contenders to win, I think Seth Rollins is probably the number one choice. That I know of. I think for sure. Just because, like, you got to think of who are they going to who would they want potentially main eventing WrestleMania? And I think that really limits your choices. Like Braun Strowman is one that people have been saying, but the thing is, like, Braun Strowman needs some more spice. I don't think he's quite ready at this moment.
Yeah,
Um,
and then a lot of the other people, it's just like they're probably looking at it and they'd be like, okay, we have these people in the match. These five possible stars can are capable of main eventing WrestleMania. Some of these other stars are not.
yeah, so
At
you got
least
to,
not yet. I mean, saying like Braun Strowman maybe in a year or two could be at that level. I don't think he's there yet,
yeah.
but he could be.
So I think it really comes down to guys like the pretty much anyone from the Shield, Chris Jericho, The Miz, in my opinion, um, and that's about it. I think those are the guys who I could actually see main eventing WrestleMania. So I think it's got to come down to those guys, and I think Seth Rollins probably because he did not main event WrestleMania last year because of his injury. I think it's his time. Uh, so yeah, I could see Seth Rollins. So I'm gonna make two predictions. I'm gonna make a main choice and then a dark horse. My main choice is gonna be Seth Rollins. My dark horse is The Miz.
All right, I go along with those. I'm definitely going along with Seth Rollins. My, I guess not really a dark horse, but my second choice would probably be Jericho.
Yeah,
So Rollins or Jericho, because I think Kevin Owens and Jericho can work like a good match together. It'd probably be a great match if they were working like Rollins or Jericho versus Owens for the title.
yeah,
But we don't know if Jericho is still like his contract is not as like established as like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is like, okay, you're under contract with us. Jericho has said his contract is kind of he can pick and choose like when he wants to renew it or if he wants to renew it and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I don't think they would. put him in a title match unless they said, okay, you're under contract for like the next 6 months after WrestleMania or something along those lines. Like they wouldn't want to give him the title and then have him leave like a week later.
Yeah, I think that if they're going to put the title on someone, it's going to be someone they want that they're going to have stick around. So, yeah.
But yeah, both the Miz and Rollins fit into that category because I don't think they're really going anywhere. I mean, the Miz occasionally might leave to do a movie or something, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, so that looks like all of the predictions are done. Why don't you tell people about your comic book podcast?
If you like pop culture, you like comic books, or if you just like to listen to three friends sit around and talk nonsense, you can get the Comic Book Show. It's my other podcast. We just talk about life and pop culture. You can find it at www.epiccomicshow.com, or you could just find it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. It's called the Comic Book Show.
Sounds good. That's gonna do it for this prediction show. We're not sure which one we're gonna do next because we're trying to alternate between Raw and SmackDown. So we're gonna have to see which pay per view is coming up next. Fits one that we haven't done yet. So we'll let you know on Twitter which pay per view we're gonna be predicting next. But you can follow me on Twitter at Iceworm. Aaron is over at Aaron Steinberg. And I again want to thank you for hanging out and talking wrestling with me.
No problem. It is my pleasure. Love coming on the show.
All right, cool. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.